Greetings, all you perfume mixing assassins out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor. This is Undeclared Bajor, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatch. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
What's up?
We're back. We're back on Monday, unless I get lazy tonight and don't edit the episode, in which case I will just sneakily edit this part out later.
No, you gotta leave that part in.
Unless I accidentally forget to do that. Also, I guess I'll issue the periodic reminder. Undeclared Bajor is available on YouTube on the Fletcher from the Deep YouTube channel and on Apple Podcasts. So if you're listening on one but you'd rather listen on the other, you're totally free to switch. And if you're listening on Apple and you want to leave us some feedback, you can just go to the episode on YouTube and type in some comments. Or if there's another platform you want to be on, it would take me 2 seconds to set that up. So just put that in a little comment or whatever.
I want to be on all the platforms. Please do that.
Yeah. If you put all the platforms, I'm going to be suspicious. It's I have OCD and I have to listen on every single platform.
Yeah, the same person just listens to the show 12 times and that's half the viewership.
It's they look for slight discrepancies and put them on a big yarn board. Oh my gosh.
Man, a conspiracy theory. That's okay. Yeah, I'd be behind that.
I suspect that most of our listeners are that degree of crazy anyway, but who knows? No, I'm sure you're all perfectly fine, lovely people. Anyway, today we're going to recap, discuss, and rate Season 3, Episode 20, Improbable Cause. Alternate title, The Tane Mutiny.
Ooh, okay. I don't know that actually fits, that there wasn't a mutiny exactly, but I like the sound of it.
Well, he's kind of mutinying against the Central Command, right?
Maybe. I mean, he's it's not like he's doing something that he doesn't think is going to be in the best interest of the Central Command. He's just not doing what they want.
Yeah. I spent an hour just daydreaming puns, entertain, which doesn't really work since we already had Tane before.
Right.
Something like, that's enabrantainment, or are you not enabrantained? I just want to make a meme with enabrantained yelling on it, and it says, "Are you not enabrantained?"
Okay.
But my meme making skills aren't that good. I was gonna do Citizen Tane. And then
that actually kind of, yeah.
Would Citizen Tane have been better?
Maybe.
Citizen Tane kind of got me to the Tane Mutiny, so. Anyway, the existing title, Improbable Cause, I feel is a nice pun, but a little strained for the episode.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no. It's, I guess if you're looking at it as, the cause behind the bombing of Garrick's shop, it was not super probable what the result,
sure,
that it was Garrick himself. So I kind of get what they're going for, but yeah, I think it's kind of just
Yeah. I mean, usually, the phrase probable cause refers to the police have to have probable cause to do a search. So when you say improbable cause, it kind of how does that fit?
Did Odo have probable cause to scan that guy's case of perfumes? Did
he scan the case, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he scanned it and then picked out certain vials based on the scan.
Okay.
I may be misremembering.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Our discussion will contain full spoilers for the series up through this episode, including the ones that we just said. However, we will try to keep spoilers for later in the series to an appropriate minimum. We won't reveal anything too big, and bear with me, when Rom uses his technical genius to upgrade the station's communication system to his new patented Rom-Com system.
Wow. You went a long way for that one.
This episode originally aired April 24th, 1995. It was written by Renee Echevarria. Story by Robert Letterman and David R. Long?
Wait, David Letterman?
Yes. When they combine together, they make David Letterman. When they two Vicks, they're David Letterman.
Robert Bob Letterman, writer, director, editor on Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise.
Oh, wow.
So let's see. He directed I, Borg.
Oh, wow.
And edited many, many things. So that's a long time Star Trek dude. Let's look at this other fellow.
Sure. I mean, director of I, Borg. That's a pretty iconic episode.
David R. Long is a writer who wrote with Robert Letterman the stories for the Deep Space Nine 3rd and 5th season episodes, so one in each of those, and a Voyager 7th season episode. For the latter, he was credited as Dave Long.
Huh.
So, what else? What non-Star Trek-y things is it? Okay, no, IMDb says that's it. That's everything that he's done.
So just some guy who occasionally comes over and pitches some stories for Star
It sounds
Trek
like he
fans.
writes with Letterman on all of these, is like the impression that I got. So maybe he's just like Letterman's buddy.
Yeah, probably. He's like,
And he's like the next door neighbor, and Letterman's like, "Hey, come on over. Let's throw out some ideas."
Yeah, could be. And the episode was directed by Avery Brooks.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, according random, ridiculously detailed level of facts here, the first time that a main cast member has directed an episode of a two-parter on this show. And
A main cast member of this show.
Of this show, right. It points out that Jonathan Frakes did direct The Search Part 2 and Past Tense Part 2, but he was not a regular on Deep Space Nine.
God bless those Memory Alpha weirdos. Anyway, what happens in this episode? Bashir and Garrick are having lunch or breakfast or something while discussing such matters as Shakespeare and the human tendency to rush through meals. Garrick just can't understand the drama of Julius Caesar.
No, yeah, he's like, what an idiot. Caesar couldn't figure out that he was going to get killed at his own whatever. Like, he's very he's not impressed by Caesar.
I guess the concept of a tragic flaw is not present in Cardassian literature.
Well, it's like in their mysteries, everyone is always guilty and the state is always right. So,
yep.
What can you do?
Yep. Garrick laments that he has too much time on his hands, so Bashir reminds him that he still has his trousers to work on. They finish their meal as Bashir has work to do and Garrick has stuffed himself full of Delavian chocolates. So
yeah, as you do.
I'm a little questioning of Garrick's work ethic here.
Well, given that he knows what's about to happen, he's like intentionally not finishing Bashir's pants.
I think this whole thing is an elaborate ploy to just get out of doing his tailoring work.
I don't know. It may be that, he had plans for what he was going to do this morning and then had to rig up his shop to explode, so he had to push all that back. There's a note in here when they're in the scene where they're discussing their dining experience. Garrick misidentifies a Koberian for a Talarian.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, how could he?
Wait, isn't it? It's the guy who's related to Ferengis, right? It sure looked like that guy.
So the one related to Ferengi, I think, is the Koberian, and I guess he calls him a Talarian. Is that right? I don't remember exactly how the scene goes, but one of them has a bunch of prosthetics, and the other one has just a little forehead thing going on.
Huh. Okay.
The Talarians are from that episode of Next Generation where, they've been raising that human kid.
Oh yeah. The Cardassians episode of Next Generation where it was humans instead of Cardassians.
Yep.
Oh, I was examining this scene also for to see if there's any moment when like Garrick spots the assassin dude or something. But I guess he did that sometime before because I wasn't able to spot it.
Yeah, I mean the explosion is so soon after this. I assumed that it was like well before this that he rigged it.
Because we know the guy arrived on the station that morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume they were eating breakfast, because, like, Bashir was eating...
They usually eat lunch together, but...
Yeah. I mean, Bashir was eating eggs, and he had to get to the infirmary, so I assumed he was going to work, but
yeah, maybe.
Maybe he was having eggs for lunch, and he had to get back to work. I don't know. Garrick was dodging work.
Yeah, did not want to hem those pants.
Either way. So I guess maybe Garrick saw him earlier this morning, set up the whole plan, and then came and had lunch with Bashir. And just had to get out his frustrations about Julius Caesar.
Also, it's been a while since I've read Julius Caesar. Garrick's just like, I knew Brutus was going to kill him in the first act. And I was like, the play doesn't try to hide that Brutus is involved in the killing of Caesar, right? Like it.
I haven't read Julius Caesar in a while, but yeah, it does pretty much involve like the whole conspiring to kill Caesar stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought. I mean, it's been like since high school that I read that, so I could be wrong. All you Shakespeare fanatics out there, let us know.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody who listens to our show who's interested in Shakespeare, but anyway, Bashir is pulled aside by Kira, who complains that Bashir's off-the-top-of-his-head calculations of the atmospheric composition of the Yelosian ambassador dissolved the carpet.
Don't you know, like, what carpets are made of on the station and what dissolves them, Bashir?
Well, it's just like, she's like, what's that atmosphere all about? He's like, oh, I think it was like this, and this. I was like, you think? You don't want to like go back and check something, or?
Well, I mean, I assume that, he did check it before sending the official thing. And so informally asking him, he's like, this is the result.
So yeah, they argue about the weirdness of the Yelosians for a little bit. And then suddenly there's an explosion down on the promenade. It's Garrick's shop, says Bashir, who rushes down to find the shop destroyed, but Garrick relatively unharmed. Garrick tells Bashir that his pants won't be ready tomorrow after all. And he just, the way he says it makes me think, are you doing this on purpose, Garrick?
It's all to get out of the tailoring. Okay, sorry, I had to go back and listen. He does specify that he is eating lunch. He's like, Garrick, if you hadn't been so late, I could have enjoyed my lunch instead of rushing through it.
Okay, so we've had the whole morning for Garrick to set up this whole plan.
Yeah.
All right.
And I assume that's why Garrick was late.
Clever writing. Renee Echevarria, Robert Letterman, and or David Long.
That was in the story proposition. It was like, okay, so Garrick's going to be late to lunch, and that's like a big thing, right?
It's the fact that Garrick is late is key.
I feel like Cardassians seem like a punctual people to me, but I don't know if that's actually like canon.
Yeah. Odo and O'Brien investigate the blast site while the opening credits spoil that enabrantained is in the episode.
Yeah, not like the one with the changeling where they kept it out of there.
It doesn't even just have the actor's name. It says so-and-so as enabrantained. So, just in case you might not have been spoiled, they made sure to spoil it for you. They report to Sisko that the blast seems to be the result of a small bomb made to look like an accident. Sisko has all departures from the station delayed, although, if an assassin planted the bomb, you'd think they'd try to get off the station before it went off.
Before it blew up, right. But, well, I mean, I guess if you need to make sure that Garrick dies in the blast, it would be embarrassing to set the bomb off, leave, be like, yep, I succeeded, and then it turns out he's not dead.
But, I mean, it could all be a big clue to the eventual reveal.
True.
In the infirmary, Garrick absurdly tries to deny any previous involvement with the Obsidian Order. Just like...
Despite what we said before now, where we met with an enabrantained.
Right. Like, we had the whole episode The Wire, and many Garrick hijinks since then. So, I don't know what he even thinks he's doing, but he claims he was exiled from Cardassia for not paying his taxes.
Very embarrassing.
Yep. He's like, yeah, that's plausible. That'll track. That's why I would keep that a secret.
Yeah, it's just such an embarrassing thing to reveal. I can understand.
Yeah. Most people who don't pay their taxes are proud of it, but... Well, I guess that's not true.
If you were paying attention, I mean, secretly proud of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, you don't publicly go around like, yep, I didn't pay my taxes. Try and stop me, government.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe he he got into some financial problems and just couldn't pay his taxes. I don't know. But he suggests that Kira maybe tried to have him killed.
That is my favorite, where he's like, there's always Major Kira.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that sounds plausible, that she would just blow up my shop. But Odo points out that if Kira wanted Garrick dead, he'd be dead.
And Garrick's like, no, yeah, good point.
And I have to say, I kind of agree.
Yeah. No.
Garrick also laments that nobody believes him when he's telling the truth, which he is definitely not.
No, not at all.
And Bashir tells him the story of the boy who cried wolf, from which Garrick takes the moral that you should never tell the same lie twice. Although, I think a more apt moral for Garrick would be never get caught lying.
Yeah, that's the real thing. Because the story of the boy who cried wolf could have been, he said wolf one day and like lion the next day or something, and the result would have been the same. So it's not necessarily just don't tell the same. But yeah, it's like, don't let people catch you lying is the true moral.
Odo calls Garrick into his office to look over passenger manifests of recently arrived ships, but no leads there. Then we have a great moment where O'Brien comes in and, in quotation marks, discreetly reports, with Garrick sitting right there, clearly listening, that some unusual traces were found, which Odo identifies as the remains of a pheromonic sensor, designed to go off when a person of a particular species is nearby.
Yeah,
But Garrick just like, he was listening the whole time. He was like, so like a Cardassian?
I mean, O'Brien does look very uncomfortable when he walks in and sees Garrick sitting there, and then Odo kind of like indicates that he should go ahead. And so I don't blame O'Brien necessarily.
I just love the way the shot is framed where they're talking, and then you can clearly see Garrick in the background, like listening and smiling.
Yeah, it's just like right in between them, like leaning forward and like cocking his head and watching. It's really it's a good framing.
But yeah, these devices are known to be favored by Flaxian assassins. Which, didn't they use a pheromonic bomb the one time when they tried to assassinate Quark or something? Because it was like a smell detecting bomb.
Maybe?
In the episode The Negus.
When I search for pheromone bomb or pheromonic bomb, the first thing that comes up is pheromone bomb, World of Warcraft. And then, of course, the third result is a Wikipedia article called The Gay Bomb.
Oh, yeah, the good old gay bomb.
Maybe I should add DS9 to...
Yep.
Pheromonic sensors. Ferengi locator bombs use pheromonic sensors. And Flaxian assassins were known to favor them. So, yeah, I guess so.
So,
good memory.
I don't know why Odo jumped to Flaxians and not Ferengi, because it's like maybe Quark did it.
I feel like what nobody mentions that they probably should is like, so if somebody planted this on the bulkhead and it goes off as soon as a Cardassian comes within range, then there's a very narrow window during which somebody could have planted this when Garrick left for lunch to when Garrick returned from lunch.
Ah, very true.
So,
very true.
Like, an actual investigation would have been like, okay, who was nearby? As opposed to like just flat out racist like generalizations.
Well, although, I mean, this could be how Odo was able to identify that Kira had an airtight alibi.
It's true. Yep.
Because she was accounted for during all that period of time when he last was at his shop, then when he went back and got blowed up.
But I feel like we're also oh shoot, I just lost.
Oh no,
what was I saying? Cat, please.
Does the cat know?
No, the cat's been really needy since I got back because I was gone for so long. So it's just like meow meow meow. Yeah, I lost it. Okay, well, whatever.
But yeah, so they find out that a Flaxian assassin arrived on the station this morning. Odo pulls in the Flaxian, who puts on a performance as the world's creepiest perfume salesman.
It's a good performance. I remember. Okay. So it's really lucky that, knowing what we know at the end of the episode, that Garrick apparently just had on hand like a bomb component that is known to be used by Flaxian assassins.
I mean, Garrick is a crafty, resourceful guy, so I kind of buy it. Or, there could have been this whole saga we didn't see where he had to go out and get a Flaxian thing, or maybe it's a component that's easy to make yourself.
Oh, could be.
I don't know.
That's why Flaxians use it. They're lazy.
Yeah.
Or no, they're not lazy. They like to, do it yourself. They don't like to buy pre-made components.
Sure. But yeah, amazingly, Odo is able to pick out 3 perfumes that, when mixed together, can give someone a heart attack. So your theory is he scanned them.
Yeah, I just went back to look at that. He does indeed scan them.
Oh, okay.
After the guy opens the case and Odo pulls out a tricorder and scans them.
Because when I saw that, I was like, wow, how did he know that? And that it was those 3 exact ones. But okay, that makes more sense. However, the Flaxian plays it cool and doesn't reveal anything. Of course, Odo is much more clever than that, and has O'Brien put a tracking device on the Flaxian's ship, hidden deep inside the magneton relay, assuring it will never be discovered. I just thought that was kind of weird that they specified that. Like, I'm willing to believe that O'Brien can effectively plant a tracking device on a ship, but I didn't need the technical explanation of how it works.
No, it's very important that it's in the magneton relay.
Right. It certainly won't become a totally moot point in like 5 minutes, but Odo has to stay within half a light year to track him. A pretty good range.
Seems very close.
I don't know.
In interstellar distances, I don't know.
Yeah.
How far a light year is in terms of like how long it takes to travel and stuff in Star Trek always seems like very variable to me. Sometimes they say like 100 light years, like it's so far, and then sometimes they're like, oh yeah, it's only like 50 light years away. We'll get there. No problem.
That's true. So maybe it's far, maybe it's close. But the point is, since we are traveling in light years, you do have to be following in your own ship.
Right.
So Odo boards the runabout to find Garrick already sitting there. Garrick has deduced Odo's plan and wants to come along, which Odo is forced to allow as he doesn't have time to argue while the Flaxian gets away. This promises to be an interesting trip, says Garrick. And then we, the audience, are like, yay, Odo, Garrick, team up. But these hopes are dashed as the Flaxian ship blows up 2 seconds later.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Very clever.
Cat, you're going to have to move. He's like nibbling my microphone.
Nice. Is it yummy, Cat?
Okay, here we go.
This explosion is traced to the Romulans. And for once, Garrick is speechless. Which I thought was a fun little moment when he's like, I don't know what's going on. And Odo's like, I believe you, because for once you're not spouting an elaborate web of lies. So Cisco and Odo call a Romulan lady who's like, oh yeah, we blew up that ship. Yeah. It was just a guy we didn't like, so we blew him up. But she denies any knowledge of any assassinations, although she seems weirdly interested in how Garrick is doing.
Everyone wants to know about how Garrick's doing. Yeah. It's important.
But by the way, is Garrick okay? Not that I care, but so she's trying to play it cool, but they're not buying it.
So this is the reveal of, in case you're unaware, the first appearance of the new style of Tal Shiar uniform in this episode.
I did not notice a difference, but
the redesign was Ronald D. Moore's idea.
I mean, they look very similar to all previous Romulan uniforms I've seen, but
what does it say here? So, after watching the episode Visionary, he came to feel that the old style Romulan uniform was unacceptable and had Robert Blackman give the design an overhaul. I hated the Romulan costumes, big shoulder pads and quilting. I just loathed it. I begged, insisted, screamed, and pleaded.
Huh. So that's interesting, because also Odo makes a joke about how you'd think the Romulans would appreciate a decent tailor.
Yeah, he does.
And I wasn't quite clear if he was trying to burn their uniforms or compliment them. I think he was trying to insult them, but...
Yeah, I do like Odo just pulling out some fashion burns.
Right.
As if that's his area of expertise.
But you'd think if they appreciated a decent tailor, then that would mean their uniforms are good, but whatever. But yeah, Cisco and Odo brainstorm about who might want to kill Garrick and why. Odo reveals that he has a source in the Cardassian government who might be able to help. So Odo takes a runabout out to the cave set, where he makes contact with a person I'll name Card Throat. And it's like, I think it's the same cave. I think that's the same cave where, it's the cave set.
It's the cave set, right? Yeah.
It's got that like ledge up high. Just remember where Frank Langella stood dramatically that one time. Yeah, so he's standing up there, and then Odo's just kind of standing down below, and but yeah, Cardthroat is like, oh yeah, there's some shady Romulan stuff going on for sure. Also, 5 other former Obsidian Order operatives died at the exact same time as the assassination attempt. So maybe you want to look into that. And it was like 3 natural causes, 2 accidents. So I guess if Garrick had a heart attack, that would have been 4 natural causes.
Yeah, because we established later that it was intended to be a heart attack.
Right.
That got Garrick.
Odo shows the list of dead people to Garrick, who seems surprised and quite happy that they are all dead. But he quickly goes back into slippery denial mode, which makes Odo mad. Odo reveals that he knows Garrick blew up his own shop to get him involved. A fact he deduced when he saw that the Flaxian was a poisoner, not a bomber.
Yeah, and he's like, assassins don't like to swap up their methods or whatever. And I was like,
yeah,
I think a good assassin would do exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, if you become known as the guy who always uses perfume as poison, then they're going to be like, hey, be on the lookout for a guy with perfume.
It's like we keep having these guys die of heart attacks, and there's this weird flowery, musky, spicy smell lingering in the air. And it kind of works. I kind of like it. But yeah, you're right. That's I think that's not a for sure conclusion. After some grilling, Garrick comes clean. He and all the dead people were close associates of enabrantained.
What? I had no idea.
Oh my
He was gonna
gosh.
be in this episode.
Are we going to get enabrantained this episode?
No way.
Garrick uses some fancy signal scrambling to call up an old Cardassian lady who seems very surprised to see him. There's a little bit of a weird shot where it like zooms in on Garrick's hand and he's just like randomly pressing stuff on this console. And Odo's really impressed. I'm like, what? I think maybe a close-up shot was not called for in that situation. But who am I to question Avery Brooks?
Apparently, if you have read the novel A Stitch in Time, which is that Andrew J. Robinson Garrick novel.
Sure.
Which I did read long ago and have forgotten most of at this point. This lady is secretly Garrick's mother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, the old lady says that Tane ran off and she's worried for his safety, so she begs Garrick to help him, and Garrick says yes, and he says, I promise I'll help him. Garrick asks for a runabout, and Odo is like, I'm coming with you. Odo-Garrick road trip is back on.
Yep.
Bashir goes to see Garrick off, and Garrick happily uses the opportunity to troll him for a little bit.
It's a really great moment, and I love how it goes. They play it so hilariously,
Yeah.
but apparently it is there because in the original version of this episode, it was going to be a standalone episode. It was not going to be the first part of a 2-parter.
Okay.
And so the episode ends, like, we have this scene, except it's not a joke. He's like, hey, if anything happens to me, there's this isolinear rod behind the wall in my quarters. You have to get it and give it to Cisco. And then at the end, when they're captured by, Tane and the Tal Shiar, they're like, Garrick's like, oh, if you don't let us go, all of your secrets are going to get leaked because I've arranged for this person to, like, get this isolinear rod.
Uh-huh.
And so he has to let them go for that reason. And that's the end of the story. And they were just, like, grounding more. Like, it seemed like such a, like, cheap and cliche end to an otherwise really good episode. So we didn't want to do that.
Sure. Interesting. But Bashir also gives Garrick a box of Delavian chocolates. So.
Well, he's like, these are supposed to be for you. So I guess they survived the explosion at the shop, and he gave them to Bashir, and then...
Did he say that?
Or wait, like... Yeah, hold on. I'm pretty sure he says.
Because I thought he said
these chocolates were supposed to be for you.
I thought he said he'd track down Garrick's secret source or something.
Oh, maybe he did. Hold on. Let's go back and look now.
Are Delavian chocolates, like, illegal? Are they, like, Romulan ale?
Yeah, it's like some
something?
Romulan ale stuff.
Yeah. It's like, why do you need a secret source of chocolates?
The replicator cannot make chocolates for some reason.
It's chocolate so delicious. It's latinum-laced chocolate.
Ooh. I wonder if latinum tastes good.
Probably not. That's why I always avoid any, like, candy or spirits that have, like, gold flakes or whatever in it. I'm like, no, that's not food.
Well, also, I saw that episode of House where the lady was poisoning her husband with gold.
Right.
And I'm like, it seems like a bad idea
Yeah.
to ingest a bunch of that.
Yeah, and then it's just unpleasant to think about that gold going through your digestive system. And
Yeah, I wish that somebody in this world like had some latinum in their stomach and could tell us about how it tastes.
oh my goodness.
Such a thing could never happen.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to be addressed.
I wonder if latinum is like a heavy metal. Would you get heavy metal poisoning from latinum?
Well, I don't know. If such a thing ever happened when somebody ingested some latinum, that might be addressed someday. I don't know.
Hold on, I had to go through a commercial. I got 15 seconds left.
Oh my gosh, Paramount Plus.
Yeah, no.
Even when you pay for no commercials, they give you commercials.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's no good.
It's like they always put like 30 seconds or a minute of unskippable commercials in the front of the episode. It's like,
so at the very beginning. It doesn't interrupt the middle, though?
Yeah, there's none in the middle, but it's still annoying.
Okay, so Bashir says, these are for you. He goes, Delavian chocolates? But these were meant for you. And he's like, yeah, but I thought you might need them more than I do. And Garrick says, thank you.
So did he find his secret stash of Delavian chocolates, or?
I guess maybe the Delavian chocolates weren't in the shop. Maybe they were in Garrick's quarters and he gave them to Bashir later or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe Garrick just placed an order with his source and had it delivered to Bashir, and then Bashir, like, here you go, Garrick.
Oh.
You might want these chocolates.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, on the way to Tane's secret safe house, Odo and Garrick have a nice talk. Garrick says that the old Cardassian lady is Mila, Tane's housekeeper and confidant, and apparently his secret mother.
Yep. So
does he know that she's his mother, or is that like a reveal in that book? Or
that is a good question. Let's see. It makes it sound like it says that the book reveals that Mila was his mother. However, he was raised believing his father was a man named Tolan.
Huh.
So, and shortly before his death, Tolan tells Garrick the truth about his parentage. So, whether, I guess, at Tolan's death, he learns who his parents were. Whether he knew about his mother before that, we don't know yet, for sure.
Okay.
Unless you've read the book and remember it.
Right. Odo wonders why Garrick would risk his life to save someone who had him exiled, and deduces that Tane still means something to Garrick. Garrick rebukes Odo for being a cold, dispassionate observer of humanoids, in ascribing feelings to them that he himself knows nothing about. He asks if there's anyone Odo truly cares for, and Odo coolly retorts, "If there was, I certainly wouldn't tell you."
Smart.
A response Garrick approves of.
Yeah.
So, that's a cool little scene.
Yeah, I really like the conversation, but these two characters are both very private, and and it makes this conversation really interesting.
Yep. How have we never had this great Garrick-Odo combo before? But we finally arrive at the destination, and as soon as they come out of warp, they are immediately met with a decloaking Romulan warbird. And I like the part where Odo looks at the screen, and it's clearly a Romulan warbird, and he's like, "Some kind of ship is decloaking." I'm like, come on. Odo tries to send a distress signal, but it's not clear if it went through. They are boarded by the Romulans, who take them aboard the warbird, where they meet Tane. Hi, Paul, it's me, Tane, your latest dancer. Sorry. I cannot not think about that when I hear the name Tane. Anyway. But Tane is like, good, now I don't have to send someone else to try to kill you, immediately solving that mystery.
Yep.
Garrick, Odo, and Tane engage in some lighthearted verbal sparring for a while. And then Odo eventually finds us all extremely tedious, and he has a great line that Tane and Garrick both go to such great lengths to hide the meaning of their words that they wind up saying nothing at all. I was like, good burn, Odo.
I like Tane. He's like, I kind of like this guy.
Yeah.
This Odo guy.
He's like, yeah, he would have been a cool spy back in the day. Which
definitely, shapeshifter would probably be a good spy in general. Yeah,
the shapeshifting definitely would help. Then Odo's like, okay, I get it. You're teaming up with the Romulans to go launch a first strike against the Dominion. And then Tane's like, yep, you got it. And reveals that this is a joint operation between the Obsidian Order and the Tal Shiar that the Central Command knows nothing about. Their plan? To go to the founder planet and genocide them out of existence, for which there will be no repercussions at all.
I mean, it's a bold plan.
Yeah, bold is definitely a word for it. When it's all over, Tain plans to retake his place as head of the Obsidian Order. And he doesn't need a lot of old associates with heads full of compromising information running around.
Do you ever, really?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the real question is, like, does he have new friends that are going to help him run the Obsidian Order? Because it seems like you would want somebody that, like, he's killing all of his best operatives from the past because they know too much, so does he have new operatives that...
Yeah, I mean, it's not clear what's going on behind the scenes. Clearly, like, the Obsidian Order, because this is all part of the secret Obsidian Order fleet that we learned about in Defiant, right?
Yeah.
And like we had an Obsidian Order lady who knew all about that. So was she secretly working for Tain, or is he just kind of aware of this plan and insinuating himself into it or something?
Yeah, how did he get involved? Like, it's weird.
Yeah. In the course of this conversation, Garrett confirms that he blew up his own shop to get Odo interested in the case, so put that little mystery to rest. And then Tain makes a reference to Garrick betraying him, which upsets Garrick. He's like, "I never betrayed you in my heart."
It's a ridiculous line, and the delivery is also a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I dare you to try that in any situation and see if it helps. It's like, I'm sorry, honey, but I didn't betray you in my heart. But yeah, he's like, Garrick's upset. He's like, "I came on this dangerous mission to try to rescue you because I thought you were in danger. Not like secretly masterminding a plan to kill all the founders and then have me assassinated." But then Tain gives Garrick a choice. Leave and go back to his boring tailor life, or rejoin him in the Obsidian Order. Garrick happily chooses the second option, much to Odo's apparent concern. Continued.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe that Garrick would not choose that, given that all he's ever seemed to have wanted is to, like, not be exiled anymore.
True.
But, and on the other hand, at that point, Odo, you do have reason to be worried.
Yeah, true. And then for some reason, Garrett can leave, but Odo can't leave. Maybe we'll find out why next episode.
Well, I mean, presumably, he's just admitted, it's like, yes, Odo, we're going to eliminate all of your people, so I wouldn't want to let Odo leave with that knowledge either until after it's done.
So maybe he's worried that Odo will go try to warn the founders.
Yeah, Garrick is not likely to do that.
It's like they're worried that Garrick might warn the Central Command or the Federation, but not the founders.
Yeah.
I guess just he would warn the Federation because they're just convenient to him. Like, they're on the same space station he lives on. You'd be like, "Hey, you guys might want to watch out for that joint Romulan Obsidian Order fleet about to go start a massive galactic war."
I do like the bit in there where Garrick's just like, "You always used to say the Obsidian Order is sloppy. You shouldn't have relied on them."
Or the Tal Shiar.
Like, the Tal Shiar. Like, while the Tal Shiar guys are standing right there.
Yeah. Well, and he calls them, like, his pointy-eared friends, which I guess counts as a racial slur. Like, I don't think the Romulans take it I think they know they have pointy ears, and they don't, like, take it personally when you point that out.
Probably not.
Like, is pointy-earedness considered an insult in Romulan culture? I doubt it.
Your ears are so pointy. What a loser. I have slightly less pointy ears, which makes me superior to you in some way.
But yeah, Tain's like, "Aha, you used a racial slur, which puts me in the position of either, like, going along with it or speaking up for them or whatever."
Yeah, I do like that. I mean, he's like, the Dominion's going to collapse without the founders, which we have no way of knowing if that's accurate.
I mean, our knowledge of the, like, organization and political structure of the Dominion is very limited.
Extremely limited, yes.
And we're not even sure that's the only planet the founders live on. We were given that impression, but...
Yeah, I mean, they weren't necessarily telling Odo the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also just like, even if it did cause their collapse, you gotta figure that the Jem'Hadar are not gonna take it lying down that you eliminated their gods.
Yeah.
So
there must be some kind of like extreme scorched earth protocol programmed into the Jem'Hadar's brains.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if the founders die, like, destroy everything.
And Tain is like, well, the Central Command's going to have a war on their hands, whether they want one or not. So he knows that it's not going to be over with one shot. But he doesn't... I think he underestimates the Dominion, which is not a great idea.
Yeah.
But this also puts an interesting spin on what we saw recently, where the Romulans were secretly trying to close the wormhole.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like, are there like competing factions within the Tal Shiar that are like taking different approaches to this? And they're like, hey, if we can avoid the war entirely, then we'd prefer that. So we're going to try to destroy the wormhole. But then if we can't, we have this other plan.
Mm. Yeah, you'd think apparently destroying the wormhole isn't that difficult.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard of at least 3 or 4 different ways to do it at this point.
Yeah, so... and the Romulans definitely seem to know one. They seem to be successful in destroying the wormhole in that alternate future that Chief O'Brien went to that one time.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, it just seems like a much safer plan, but... I mean, I guess just going and, like, you know, bombing their entire civilization and hoping for the best, that's also a plan, so...
Yeah. Then now that I think about it, the Obsidian Order lady like sabotaged the Defiance phasers that one time to try to make the comet go through the wormhole and destroy it that way also.
Ooh.
So, I guess it's a whole thing that's going on.
Maybe. I didn't even think of that connection. Like, what was her supposed motivation for doing that? I don't even remember.
Like, they thought that they were trying to sabotage, like, because this was the first joint Bajoran Cardassian thing, and so they're like, if it fails, then it'll, like, set back this peace treaty or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, but very possibly she was also involved in wormhole destroying shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got any good stuff on the memory alphas this week?
Yeah, there's a couple interesting things in here. Let's see. So the Robert Letterman's and David Long's original idea revolved around Garrick being punished by the Obsidian Order for killing off Entek in Second Skin.
Oh, right, that guy.
Yeah, so Garrick realizes that someone is planning to assassinate him and blows up his shop to get Odo involved. And then the producers were like, okay, we like this idea about him blowing up his own shop, but instead of linking it to that episode, let's link it to this other episode, the Defiant episode.
So who was Entek? He was the Obsidian Order guy who was trying to trick the dad of the lady who looked like Kira into revealing that he was a
dissident or... Yeah.
Was that... I guess, he was in the Obsidian Order. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's like...
And that's like Garrick shoots him and he's like, oh, that's too bad. I actually liked him.
That's right. And then Garrick goes back to Deep Space Nine. He's like, what? I was never in the Obsidian Order.
Yeah, no. I don't know what you're talking about. And then we talked about how this was going to be a one-parter. We talked last time about how, like, this episode is recorded and then they recorded Through the Looking Glass.
Uh-huh.
And then they recorded the part 2 of this episode because it wasn't intended to be a 2-parter when they recorded this. Or started recording this, so.
Okay.
Although, I guess Garrick has a decent part in Through the Looking Glass. I'm like, there's not a lot of Odo in Through the Looking Glass, so you can film a lot of his stuff without. There's some Bashir, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely a heavy dose of Garrick in there.
Yeah, Ira Stephen Bear, being the attention whore that he is, was very disappointed by the lack of media interest in this episode, following what he felt was little interest in the 2-parter Past Tense and Past Tense Part 2. And he says, we did the Improbable Cause 2-parter, and I thought we were going to get great media attention, and basically nothing again.
Wait,
it's amazing because I think it's really quality TV.
Like, did you expect, like, the New York Times was going to, like, run on the front page? It's like, Deep Space Nine does 2-parter.
I don't know. I have no idea what media... Like, local news stations all over the country are talking about this 2-parter.
Yeah, I mean, for the at least there's kind of some logic behind it when it was like with the homeless one, but
yeah, right. Let's see. This is the first Star Trek 2-part episode with different names for Part 1 and 2.
Is that true?
Mm.
No, we had the 3-parter. where...
Oh, that's true. But that wasn't a two-parter. That was a three-parter.
So exactly two-parter. Got it. And I'm not even sure that's true in the Next Generation.
I feel like the Next Generation episodes, because it's like Best of Both Worlds 1 and 2, Time Zero 1 and 2, other ones.
Sure. Okay, I'll believe it provisionally.
Garrick refers to the Flaxian as the only witness in the case, but that's not true. There were many witnesses, and the Flaxian was not a witness. What he should have said is the only suspect.
What a goof.
Hope somebody got fired for that. Jeez.
I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
No, yeah, that's pretty much it on this one.
All right. Well, I guess we can go ahead and jump into ratings. How would you rate this episode? Improbable Cause.
You know, it's always tough with the first half of a two-parter or multi-parter. We've talked about that.
We say that every single time.
Yep. But it is a Garrick episode, and we've also say every time that Garrick's awesome, and Garrick showing up is a big plus. We also repeatedly have liked when Odo gets to investigate and do investigation-y things.
Yeah.
And I feel like that maybe for the first time, they have had Odo investigating a mystery that progresses in an interesting way, has Odo being a good investigator, and has a couple of really interesting twists to it.
Yeah.
So I think this may be the best mystery that they've actually let Odo investigate, as opposed to the times when he goes and investigates something and he just instantly finds the one key piece of evidence and we're done, or they techno-babble a bunch and then we're done and he actually didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I feel like overall, really solid episode. I'm going to give it a captain.
All right. So, I think it's just really hard to find anything wrong with this episode. Like you said, it has an engaging mystery, which also builds into a decent little political spy thriller.
Mm-hmm.
I think Garrick is in top form. I think Odo is in top form. And when you put them together, it's just like magic. All the writing, all the dialogue is really great. The direction is mostly really great. There's a lot of really cool shots. And one thing I really love about it is it picks up numerous previously established threads.
Yep.
So we have, Tane and Garrick's whole backstory with Tane, which we learned about in The Wire. We have the secret Obsidian Order, doing stuff under the nose of the Central Command and their secret attack fleet, which we learned about in Defiant.
Mm-hmm.
We got the secret Romulan schemes to, stop a war with the Dominion, or just their mistrust of the Dominion, which we learned about in Visionary. And also that and some other episodes set up the whole intelligence sharing thing with the Romulans.
Yeah, which turns out to be integral to how this plot developed.
Yep, which turned out to be very important to this. So all that stuff is beautifully woven together. So I am also going to give it a captain.
Nice. I'd kind of forgotten to mention, but you mentioned the directing. There's when at the end of the episode has a really cool mirror to that earlier scene, because we talked about Odo and O'Brien standing and Garrick framed between them looking on. When Tane and Garrick shake hands at the end of the episode, it frames Odo right between them looking all worried.
Interesting. Yeah. I like when Odo goes to meet Cardthroat, and it's they do this shading Cardthroat's face in shadow in this kind of artistic looking way.
Yeah, it felt very, very Deep Throat, clearly given the name that you've given him, but yeah.
And I think I looked up on IMDb that guy was, I want to say he's the old guy, the old housekeeper guy or whatever from House of Quark.
That might make sense, yeah. Yeah, he totally is. He's Tumek from House of Quark.
Yeah, I think that's...
he's also a Sona officer in Insurrection.
Oh, wow.
And one of the gamesters of Triskelion back in the original series.
Gamesters of Triskelion. Wow.
That's the name of the episode, yeah.
So he's just he's an old pro.
Yep.
Old Star Trek pro.
Sorry, I was looking through other projects in which Ruskin appeared with fellow Trek performers include, and the last bullet is The Scorpion King with Dwayne Johnson.
Oh yeah, I guess Dwayne Johnson is a Star Trek actor technically.
Classic Pandari champion.
So there's a movie called like The Mummy, The Scorpion King, but there's also a movie called The Scorpion King, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So The Mummy 2 was. Does it have the sub? Hold on. So no, The Mummy 2 is called The Mummy Returns, but it features the Scorpion King.
Okay.
And then they made the Scorpion King as a prequel about the guy who shows up briefly in The Mummy 2.
Okay. It's been a while since I've visited that franchise, so. Card Throat was in The Scorpion King, the movie.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, it's interesting because his article on IMDb for Cardassian Informant, there's all these theories about people who have showed up throughout the run of the show who that informant might be, but it's apparently never established.
Well, like when I first was watching it, I thought, is that David Warner? Like, is it Gul Masset or whichever one he was, the one who tortured Picard?
Oh.
But he was...
That would have been interesting.
Well, I mean, it could be him, because like he apparently had plastic surgery or whatever, so...
Right, yeah.
Who knows? What are some good theories on there?
Let's see. So, it's possible the informant is Gul Rusal, who is going to be mentioned, I think, in a later episode as a reliable Cardassian officer informant of Odo's. And then Ronald D. Moore has stated that Thrax was a possibility, and Thrax is the Cardassian. I don't think he showed up yet either, but he was played by Kurtwood Smith.
Ooh. I think I would have noticed Kurtwood Smith as a Cardassian up to this point.
Yeah. And so, let's see. Those, who else in here? Also, there's since this guy talks about Odo's Cardassian neck trick, it's like, well, he may have been part of like the high command audience that saw Odo perform that has been talked about recently or previously.
Yeah.
Namely, Gul Hadar supposedly couldn't stop talking about it. So maybe it's Gul Hadar.
Ooh. Although we don't know anything about this Gul Hadar.
No.
Other than he enjoyed the Cardassian neck trick, right?
Right.
So,
right.
But still, could be.
Yeah, those are the three that are mentioned here.
Interesting. But I have a feeling we're never going to find out.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
This is just a really good episode, and I'm excited to do the next one because I remember the next one being maybe even better. So we are definitely clicking into like those higher Deep Space Nine gears now. Like, yep, absolutely.
After a few good spots, a few false starts, many plot threads left to wither and die.
Well, and it's definitely not a coincidence that we feel like things start really clicking at the same time that they're taking all these previously established threads and starting to weave them together.
Yeah. So good stuff. But I guess we'll call it there.
Yep.
So, that does it for us today. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. As always, check out the description where you may find links to interesting things. I'm just going to put that Tane video down there again. I'll never not take an opportunity to link that. Anyway, I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
See ya.
And until next time, don't forget to kiss the Negus stick.